Welcome to Serene Vale. All right, today we are diving into something that honestly felt like pure science fiction until just recently. We're talking about reversing vision loss. We're going to break down two incredible new studies. These are game changers that show us new ways to restore sight. It really feels like what was once lost might now finally be found. It's a question that holds so much hope for millions of people, right? For the longest time, the answer was always this frustrating, maybe someday. But what we're about to see is how the science is finally starting to flip that script. Come on, we've all been there, right? Or at least we've seen a friend or a parent do it. This simple, everyday struggle is such a universal thing. It really reminds you how much vision can change, especially as we get older. And it kind of grounds all this high-level science in a reality we can all get. It's not just about some abstract experiment in a lab. It's about something as simple as reading a menu when you're out with friends. Okay, so our first stop is this absolutely fascinating study from MIT. And what's interesting is that the researchers weren't even looking at age-related decline. Nope, they were focused on a developmental disorder, one that for a long time has been considered pretty much untreatable in adults. So this condition is called amblyopia, but you probably know it as lazy eye. It's what happens when the connection between the brain and one of the eyes just doesn't form properly during childhood. The brain basically learns to favor one eye and just ignore the other. And the critical point here, the thing everyone believed, was that the window to fix this slams shut after childhood. Once those nerve connections are set, they're set. Or so we thought. This is where the MIT team asked such a brilliant question. They thought, okay, what if we could just bypass that closed window? What if you could force the whole visual system to just reset? Almost like restarting a computer that's gotten buggy? Give it a complete second chance to wire itself up the right way. So, you're probably wondering, how on earth did they do that? Well, the process was surprisingly straightforward. They took adult mice that had this lazy eye condition, and they injected an anesthetic into the weaker eye. Now, this wasn't just to numb it. This completely took the retina offline. It silenced all the signals going to the brain. And that was the big question, right? What would the brain do in that total silence? And get this, the really crucial detail is the time frame. The eye was only taken offline for 2 days. Just 2 days. Think about that for a second. Only 48 hours to potentially undo a lifetime of the brain's faulty wiring. That's an incredibly short amount of time for such a potentially profound reset. And the result? It was absolutely astounding. After the anesthesia wore off and that eye came back online, its input to the brain, it had dramatically increased. It was now basically on par with the strong, healthy eye. The brain had just stopped ignoring it. The reboot, it actually worked. Just like the study author Mark Baer said, the eye was essentially brought back to life. Silencing it for a bit gave the brain a chance to actually listen again. So that's a huge breakthrough for fixing faulty wiring. But what happens when it's not the wiring, but the parts themselves that start to age? Well, that brings us to our second breakthrough. All right, so our second story, it shifts gears. We're moving from a developmental issue to something we all face, the challenge of aging. Researchers over at UC Irvine were focused on that gradual decline in vision that so many of us experience, and they zeroed in on one single, absolutely crucial gene. That gene is called ELOVL2, and you can kind of think of it like a factory manager. Its job is to make sure these very specific, essential fatty acids get produced, the ones our retinas desperately need to work properly. The problem? Well, as we get older, this factory manager just slows down. Its activity drops. And this really shows the chain reaction perfectly. ELOLV2 slows down, right? So the retina doesn't get enough of these special fatty acids, they're called VLCPUFAs, and without them, the cells in the retina start to get damaged and, well, vision suffers. This whole process is a major player in age-related macular degeneration, or AMD, which is one of the leading causes of vision loss in older adults. So the UC Irvine team had this really clever idea. They thought, look, if the ELOVL2 gene is the bottleneck, why don't we just go around it? Instead of trying to fix the gene itself, what if you could just give the retina the stuff it was missing, the fatty acids, directly? And this is exactly why this new approach is such a big deal. For years, the advice was to take general omega-3 supplements like DHA. But honestly, the results for slowing down AMD were kind of disappointing. What the UC Irvine team figured out was that the secret wasn't just any fatty acid. It had to be a very, very specific one. So when they gave aged mice the exact VLC PUFA they were missing, boom, they saw a direct improvement in vision. But here's where it gets really mind-blowing. The treatment didn't just help the mice see better. No, when they looked closer, like at the retinal cells themselves, the researchers found that the biological signs of aging had actually reversed. I'm talking on a molecular level. They had literally actually turned back the clock inside the eye. It's incredible. Okay, so let's take a breath. We have two totally different problems, right? And two totally different but equally brilliant solutions. Let's put them side by side for a second and just see the bigger picture of what's happening right now in vision science. Yeah, this really lays it out clearly, doesn't it? On one hand, you've got the MIT team targeting the brain's wiring for a developmental issue. That's the reboot. On the other hand, you've got the UC Irvine team targeting the eye's cellular engine for an age-related disease. That's the fatty acid refuel. So one is about communication, the other is about the fuel itself. But what's amazing is that both show we can step in and fix things in ways we just never thought were possible before. So what's the big takeaway from all this? Why does this really matter? Well, for one, it offers real hope for conditions like lazy eye in adults, which were pretty much considered a done deal, untreatable. It also opens the door to much simpler therapies. I mean, can you imagine a non-invasive supplement that could actually prevent or reverse age-related vision loss? And beyond that, this research could help us spot people who are at high risk for AMD way earlier. And incredibly, what we're learning about cellular aging in the eye, well, it might have implications for our entire bodies, maybe even our immune systems. And that's really the question we're left with, isn't it? We're standing right on the edge of a totally new era, one where we don't just manage vision loss, but where we might actually be able to reverse it. Whether it's about rebooting a bad connection in the brain or refueling an aging cell, the future of sight is looking, well, brighter than ever. It really makes you wonder, what will it mean for all of us, for the human experience, when we can truly turn back the clock on one of our most precious senses? Thank you for joining us for this explainer. We'll see you next time.